Hello friends, my name is Mayank Dwivedi. Today we are going to do the last part of Vedic civilization. So let's start with the geographical knowledge of Vedic Aryans. So first thing first, let's discuss the geographical knowledge of early Vedic Aryans. From the references found in Rig Vedic Samhita, they help us in understanding the geographical knowledge of early Vedic age. It have names of various rivers and other similar references which help in reconstructing the geographical spread of early Vedic culture and the geographical knowledge of early Vedic Aryans. After entering in Indian subcontinent, the Vedic Aryans got settled into Saptasindhava region, that is a land of 7 streams or rivers. These 7 rivers were Indus and its 5 tributaries, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, Chenab and Jhelum. It has also the river Saraswati. The reference indicates that the Vedic Aryans lived in Punjab and the parts of Rajasthan. The river Saraswati mentioned maximum numbers of time in Rig Veda Samhita, about 72 times. This indicates that the Saraswati valley was core region for the early Vedic Aryans. The river Yamuna mentioned only twice and the Ganges is mentioned only once in the Rig Vedic Samhita. This suggests that these rivers were not that significant in the life of early Vedic Aryans. Brahmavarta region is mentioned as a geographical area of early Vedic Aryans. It was a land between river Satluj and river Yamuna. Tiger is not mentioned in Rig Veda. It suggested that early Vedic Aryans were yet to reach the forests of eastern India where tigers are found, and the Aryans were aware of Himalayas because they have mentioned it, Manjuvata, and a source of Som plant, as I have mentioned the Som plant in the past lecture of Vedic series. The word Samudra also mentioned in Rig Vedic Samhita, but it was used to refer a huge amount of water seen in northern plains of rivers by Aryans because they were not aware of sea. So this is it for early Vedic Aryans. Let's talk about geographical knowledge of later Vedic Aryans, or the extent of geographical knowledge of later Vedic Aryans. During later Vedic period, Vedic culture moved into the eastern India and they become aware of entire Indian landmass. Satpatha Brahmana contains a story of expansion of Vedic culture into east. According to Satpatha Brahmana, Prince Videga Madhava, accompanied by his priest Gautam Raghugana, cleared forest with the help of god fire, and fire got stopped after reaching Sadanira or Kandak river, which is in present Bihar. And it was proclaimed that the area to the west of river were suitable to Vedic Aryans. This reference suggests that the Vedic civilization moved up to Bihar in east during later Vedic age. Atharva Veda contains a reference of tribe living in eastern India such as Anga, which is in part of Bihar, and Magadha, and these references suggest that the Vedic Aryans got aware of entire eastern India in later Vedic period. And eastern and western seas are mentioned in Satpatha Brahmana. They suggest that the Aryans were aware of Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. Southern mountains identified with Vindhyas in Kausitaki Upanishada and Ateriya Brahmana contains a reference of 5-fold geographical division of India. These parts are mentioned as Prachaya, which is an East India, Pratichaya, which is a West India, Uttarapatha, which is a Northern India, Dhruv Madhya Mandis, which is a central India, and Tamil Hama, which is a peninsular India. So this is about geographical knowledge of Aryans. So let's discuss the role of iron in the life of Vedic Aryans. Vedic Aryans became aware of iron metallurgy around 1000 BC, and gradually the access to the iron metal increased, resulting in use of iron for various purposes. The use of iron during later Vedic age has been explained different by different historians. While some believe that the use of iron was not very significant, but the other believes that it was the knowledge of iron metallurgy that changed the life in the later Vedic age. So let's talk about the role of iron in agriculture. So early historians like R.S. Sharma believe that iron played very important role in agriculture progress during later Vedic period. It was emphasized that the iron axes were used to cleaning of the forest and iron plowshare used for deeper plowing. It was this deeper plowing which facilitated the use of iron plowshare, which enabled the wet paddy cultivation and the expansion of agriculture clearance of a forest and the wet paddy cultivation, which increased the agriculture production, which in terms resulted in attainment of the state of agriculture surplus in 6th century BC, which led to the second urbanization. But in recent research carried out by historians like Nihar Ranjan Roy and D.C. Chakrabarty, it have brought to light that the role of iron in agriculture was insignificant during later Vedic age. Only the iron plowshare discovered during the archaeological excavation of Jakhera, Uttar Pradesh. Such discoveries would have been frequent if iron plowshare was used commonly during later Vedic age. Vedic Aryan used fire to clear forest as mentioned in Satpatha Brahmana because the hardly few iron axes discovered during excavation. The alluvial soil found in the Gangetic Valley didn't require iron plowshare for deeper plowing. Ebony trees found in the Gangetic valleys during Vedic age and the plowshares were made of this hardwood during the later Vedic period. And wet paddy cultivation was the common practice in Western India since the ages of 6 millennium BC. For example, the people of Koldiva practiced wet paddy cultivation. This knowledge was adopted by the Vedic Aryans from the indigenous people once they moved to the East India, and this was the main reason for the remarkable increase in agriculture production and attainment of state of agriculture surplus, which prepared the material foundation for the second urbanization. So let's talk about the role of iron in arts and crafts, which is a secondary and tertiary act. So the knowledge of metallurgy resulted into the emergence of number of new crafts, primarily in form of weaponry, as indicated by the discovery of large number of Aryan arrowheads, spears, swords from the places like Sanjayod, Rohilkhand. Iron axles were used in chariots and cars, which helped in improving the means of communication. So let's talk about the role of iron in the political life of Vedic Aryans or later Vedic Aryans. The most significant impact of iron metallurgy was witnessed in politico-administrative life of Aryans. The use of iron weapon greatly strengthened the military power of the king, especially in those areas where the iron mines were located. As a result of this, kings started pursuing expansionist policies. This in turn resulted in transformation of Janas of early Vedic age into Janpadas of later Vedic age. The imperialistic outlook of the kings of the East India was far greater than the kings of the North and the West India. The kings of East India were far more successful in their policy of territorial expansion, largely due to the availability of iron and use of iron weapon. There was one topic which I have missed in the previous lecture. I am covering it here. The sacrifice or yagya or yajna. It was an institution during Vedic age in which the producers and non-producing sections of the society participated. Sacrifices were performed by householders and the kings. The householder performing sacrifices were mostly the peasants, merchants and traders and craftsmen. Whenever a sacrifice was performed, the householder, which is called Yajman, used to give gifts to the priest. This process used to result in exchange of resources between producing class and non-producing class of priest. Similar was the procedure involved when kings used to perform sacrifices. Since resources with kings were far greater than compared to common people, kings used to issue a huge amount of donations to the priestly class, and as economic life evolved during later Vedic age, the resources availability increased. The size of the sacrifices also underwent a great expansion. Elaborate, costly and complex sacrifices such as Rajasoya Yagya or Vajpaya Yagya or Ashwamedha Yagya were the example of the same. As I told previously, the Rajasoya Yagya performed at the coronation of the king or crown, and Vajpaya was performed to increase the strength of king, and Ashwamedha was performed to carry out a territorial expansion. So let's discuss the last topic of this whole lecture, this whole chapter, pattern of living of Vedic Aryans. In this, I am going to talk about both early and later Vedic Aryans. So the literary references found in Vedic literature and evidences gathered during the archaeological excavation helped in understanding the character and pattern of human settlements during the Vedic age. During early Vedic age, the life was essentially rural, but during later Vedic, towns had emerged. Some scholars like G.C. Pandey and G.S. Ghurea are of the opinion that the early Vedic Aryans also lived in towns. This opinion was based on the references found in Rig Vedic Samhita. In the Rig Vedic Samhita, grama was used only 9 times and the term pur was used 85 times. And the pur is interpreted as a fortified human settlement. So during the later periods, the term pur was used for towns and cities, whereas Rig Veda contains a reference of chariots and carts pulled by multiple horses. Such big vehicle requires wide roads in early Vedic age and also indicates that the settlements were not villages having narrow streets. But on closer examination of references related to economic life and settlements in Rig Vedic Samhita clearly revealed that the early Vedic Aryans lived in villages, not in towns. Their life was nomadic as they used to move from place to place. During early Vedic age, the economy was possible pastoral. The Aryans didn't practice even agriculture, so the pastoral life cannot support town and cities. But the suffix like punar, resettlement, and pra, which indicates that early Vedic Aryans changed their settlements from time to time. And during later Vedic age, the towns emerged in area occupied by Vedic Aryans in form of political centers and commercial centers. More than 30 settlements of later Vedic age have been excavated so far. Many of such settlements are in Ropar, Punjab, Nav Rajasthan or Nau Rajasthan, and Bhagwanpura, Haryana, Hastinapur, Mathura, and Atranji Khera, Uttar Pradesh have brought to light the evidence of urban life. But some settlements like Bukhari, Ambala were quite big. The area of it was 96 square kilometers, and the archaeological evidences such as lapis lazuli and Chakidani, jasper, azite found from later Vedic settlements indicates that the Vedic Aryans were practicing trade and commerce with far areas. These items were not naturally found or formed in geographical areas occupied by Vedic Aryans. For example, agate and chalcedony, which is cryptocrystalline of silica, were found in Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, and lapis lazuli was found in Badakhshan, Afghanistan. The Vedic Aryans lived in houses made of sun-dried bricks, wood and grass, and bamboos were used as roofs, as revealed in the evidences found at Ahichatra, Uttar Pradesh, Khera, Uttar Pradesh, and Hastinapur, Uttarakhand. At Bhagwanpura, evidences of circular and rectangular huts have been discovered, and a 13-roomed house was also found at Bhagwanpura. It was probably occupied by some important figure, and the archaeological excavation have also discovered the painted graveyard pot used by Vedic Aryans during later Vedic period. Wheels made so far as 42. Discovered evidences of pottery, dish, and the bowl are common. A large number of iron objects discovered from later Vedic excavation at Atranji Khera, Uttar Pradesh. 135 iron objects have been found in form of arrowhead and spearheads. So this is it, guys. Whatever I have discussed today, all of these topics are asked as questions in UPSC in different years. So I have tried to compile all those questions as topic headings so you can easily understand them. So this is it, guys, for Vedic age. So let's end it today. We will meet in next lecture. So thank you. Please share and subscribe it. Thank you.